Welcome back, guys, to the Stockton Slap Report. This is going to be the second part of our podcast slash video for the UFC Fight Night 60 predictions. Today, we're going to end up predicting 6 fights for the main card. But without further ado, let's get it started. And before we do start, I just want to throw in there it's going to be the same people today. It's going to be me, Frank, and my buddy Travis. What's going on, Travis?
Not much, just chilling, ready to talk about this event. What about you,
There
Frank?
we go, my man. I was just gonna say, let's get this shit rolling, 'cause today is Friday. We got the weigh-ins from our time in about 45 minutes, so we want to get this done fairly easy, but give you a good assessment of the fights. And yeah, without further ado, let's get this started. First fight of the main card is gonna be Ray, the Taz Mexican Borg, fighting against Chris, the Greek assassin Kalades. Kalades is 12 years the elder. He's going to be making a second fight in the UFC. He came off of his first fight 2 weeks, or I believe a week notice, not 2 weeks, against Paddy Houlihan up in Nova Scotia, Canada, and he won by decision. And it was fairly dominant for having 6 days to 7 days notice against a tough outing in Paddy Houlihan. He's 8-1. He has 5 out of 8 wins coming by finish, and he has one loss coming by decision. Similar record with Ray, the Taz Mexican Devil. Borg, he's 7-1, but he has 6 out of 7 victories coming by finish with 5 submissions. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be an entertaining fight. From what the odds say, they have Borg as the biggest favorite on the card, and in my opinion, I feel like it's rightfully so, but not as big as what the odds should make it out to be. I believe he's at like a minus 750 to a minus 800 right now, with Kalades being like a plus 550 to plus 600. Um, I do feel that Borg's going to end up taking the victory. Could be by a possible submission or a possible decision. But if I had to be a betting man, I'm just going to end up saying it's going to be a decision because Kalades seems like he's a fairly tough fighter for him making a second fight for the UFC. He's only lost once by decision as well, but if there's one person that's going to be able to tap him out, Ray Borg could do it. He's had 2 fights in the UFC so far. He tapped out Shane Howe with a rear naked choke in the first round and turned around and for his UFC debut made a fight on short notice, and he fought against Dustin Ortiz to a split decision. Both of them have potential to put fireworks in the flyweight division, but I just feel like Ray Borg's the younger, more athletic fighter, and he has a hell of a lot of goals set for whenever it comes to being in the UFC flyweight division. I feel like he gets it done here by decision. How do you feel about the fight, Travis?
Personally, I feel like this is a great fight to open out on the main event. I will admit I'm a fan of Ray Borg. I don't want to be biased, but I will say Chris and Ray both are. But both the losses they got are from decisions. They're both not that easy to finish in my mind. That being said, I have to go with Ray Borg just because I feel that he has more ways to control this fight and wind up getting the decision.
All right, my man. I was gonna say it sounds like a fairly good assessment, and I believe you meant main card, not main event. The main
Yeah.
event's gonna be spectacular with Henderson and Thatch. Please understand that.
Hey, I'm daydreaming, all right?
No
Yeah.
big deal. It's not a problem at all. I just want to throw out there real quick that Kalades does have the 2 inch height advantage, and I believe he has the 1 inch reach advantage, but don't quote me on that. I'm for sure about the height though. And yeah, another thing is that Ray Borg fights out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that's his birthplace. And I feel like he's going to be able to get it done with just his cardio, with him or dealing with high elevation, even though you got the Rocky Mountain High state that they're going to be fighting in. It's totally different from any other state. Yeah, Ray Borg by decision. Just want to emphasize on that. It's going to be a good fight, but if you're a gambling man, I'd definitely take a small bet on Kalades for how big of an underdog he is. He's proved to withstand the submission skills and the athleticism of Paddy Houlihan, and I feel like it's going to be a closer fight than what the odds are anticipating, but definitely a good fight to watch out for. Next fight on the card, we got Kevin the Motown Phenom Lee fighting against Michael the Tractor Perzeris, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Both of them,
Yeah.
one's 9-1 and the other one's 18-1. I feel like this again, it's going to be a fairly close fight. The factor that I'm going to have to throw in is that Kevin Lee's collegiate wrestling is going to be able to take him to better positioning. He'll be able to control him on the ground when he wants to, even though Pizarro's jiu-jitsu is fairly good. Um, Both of them, I believe, are coming off of a loss right now. I know Pizarro says for a fact, but I'm not sure about Lee. But when it comes down to it, I feel that Lee's just going to be able to edge him out in a decision and possibly win 29-28. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Pazeres get a submission here while Lee tries taking him down constantly. Maybe there's no takedowns at all, and it just counters out both of their techniques, and they just have a stand-up war. But either way, this isn't going to be a fight that I'd say to watch out for. It's just something to hold us over until we get the old man Dan Kelly and Patrick Walsh. But Travis, how do you feel about this fight?
Yeah, like Frank said, I feel like there's going to be a very close fight. I can see the fight going the distance. And the tracker, God, I love that name. I see him squeaking out of this match with a decision.
All right, my man. I was gonna say we're a little bit different on the fights, but again, I feel like it's gonna be really close, and yeah, I feel like Kevin Lee is just gonna be able to squeak by on it and possibly pull out that decision. But as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Tractor gets a submission here, possibly like late in the rounds, or late round two, early round three. Go on to the next fight. We got Daniel Kelly, 37-year-old man with the judoka experience from hell and back. He'll be fighting against Patrick Walsh, the beast from the East. Um, Patrick Walsh is 5-1. He has one submission loss with 3 out of 5 finishes in his career. And then we got Dan Kelly. He fought on the Ultimate Fighter Nations with Canada versus Australia. Did get eliminated in the tournament, but all in all, I mean, he showed a lot of potential, especially for him being an older fighter. Father time does catch up with you, but I don't feel like it's going to catch up with him in this fight. He has 7 out of 8 victories, or not 8 victories, 7 out of 8 finishes. He's 8-0, not including the loss that he had on the Ultimate Fighter Nations. His judoka experience and with him having 5 submissions, I just feel like it's going to be a recipe for disaster when it comes to Walsh. We know that Walsh can take a beating, and he's constantly able to just get punched and get kicked. You name it, he gets his ass beat in the fight, but he somehow manages to come out on top. But I don't feel like he's going to be able to do so in this fight. I feel like the judoka experience for Kelly is going to take him fourth into this fight, and I feel like he's going to be able to tap out Walsh fairly easily in my eyes in the late first. Travis, how do you feel about the fight, my man?
Dan Kelly, all day. Patrick also
Dan.
a good fighter, except I feel like Dan Kelly is going to make him wish he turned down the fight. First round submission, Dan Kelly, just like Frank just said.
All right, my man. I was going to say the one thing that we have to notice too is that Patrick Walsh, I believe he's coming down from the light heavyweight division into the middleweight. He'll be dropping. But again, I just don't feel like it's going to be able to help him. I feel like with the experience that Dan Kelly has, it's just going to be too much for Patrick, and I think he's going to end up getting tapped out, possibly with a rear naked choke. If not, I could see a Darce choke happening too. I mean, like did Dan Kelly, if you've watched him fight before, if you've seen him in training, he's just
Yep,
constantly improving when it comes to him being 37 years old. It's just very surprising.
he's a beast.
Um, yeah, like I feel like he's going to be able to take it, and hopefully he stays in the UFC as long as possible, especially again with his age. It's just something to watch out for. Um, and they also have him as an underdog when it comes to the odds too. So if again you're a betting man, I definitely put a medium-sized bet on Kelly and hope for the best. Next up, we got Kurimoto, the Strasser, fighting against Neil Magny. Neil Magny, hometown man, he's going to be fighting or out of Grudge Training Center, of course, on a 6 fight win streak. Fairly good fighter, hasn't really gotten the respect that he deserves. He was supposed to fight against Josh Koscheck, and they pulled him from the fight because they felt that Jake Ellenberger and Koscheck would make a better fight, which in my eyes it does. They're both coming off of losses, and it's do or die for both of them. But Neil Magny, my man, he just on a roll. 6 fight win streak, 13-3. He has 2 losses by submission and one by decision. But in my eyes, I just don't see how Kuramoto is going to be able to turn around and win this fight. He showed potential against Daniel Straffenine whenever he tapped him out and he was an underdog. But I just, again, I really don't see which way he's going to be able to turn around and beat Magny, especially in his hometown. The elevation he's been used to because he trains in Colorado constantly. It's just, in my eyes, a recipe for disaster for Kichi. I feel like Magny's going to be able to win a dominant decision. If not, he possibly would even be able to TKO him in the third round. I've seen some promise from Magny. I mean, I jagged around and said that if you're able to get knocked out for Magny like the Lima did in the second round. But it's kind of bad for your career because Magny doesn't really have that power, but he constantly pushes the pressure. He has been using his jab a hell of a lot more when it comes down to it because his reach is fantastic for the division. Again, I just really don't see how Kichi's going to be able to win this fight, and I pick Magny by a dominant decision. Travis, how do you feel, my man?
In my mind, this is a really good fight. I don't see it going the distance like Frank. I have to give it to Neil Magny. Like in my mind, he's way more explosive. Has a variety of ways he can win the match, like but either by TKO or knockout. So I'm predicting that he'll win. That being said, though, I can't take out fucking Kunimoto. I think I'm out. Anyway, I can see a surprise submission coming from Kunimoto.
All right, my man. I was going to say, with the two submission losses that Neil Magny has, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yep.
But in a way, I kind of would be, just specifically because like everything is for Magny right now. He's fighting in Denver. He
Yeah.
trains out of Denver. The long reach advantage. He's showed a hell of a lot of promise with his six fight win streaks, and especially with him going through adversity throughout those fights. Yeah, I feel like Magny's one to watch out for in the welterweight division, and I feel that he's going to dominate Kumimoto. I feel like he's going to end up again getting a dominant decision on him and just showing why he's going to go from a six to a seven fight win streak. And I hope he's able to get top 10 talent this time around. I know Koscheck isn't top 10 talent, but he damn sure has a name, and he'd be able to turn around and prove why he's becoming like this fighter that we really didn't see within his first couple fights. So again, I feel like Magny's going to take it by decision. Travis feels like he's going to take it by TKO to knockout. And yeah, we both agree about Neil Magny winning, and I don't feel there's a chance in hell for Kumimoto, to be honest. Like I'd be surprised if he got this submission, but because of his two submission losses that Neil Magny has, again, it wouldn't
Well,
surprise me, but it would surprise me.
that plus Kunimoto has fucking 9 submissions. Like a lot of his wins come from submissions.
hmm that's
Yeah.
another really good point, my man. I was gonna say, the height advantage for Neil Magny's crazy. The reach advantage, there's no one in the welterweight division that's going to be able to turn around and put up the same reach that Neil Magny has. So it's just whether or not Neil can put all the tools together like he has been for the past couple fights. Hopefully he doesn't get nervous or have like with his family, friends, training partners there. It would suck to see him lose, especially with everything that's going for him right now. On to our co-main event. We got Cole Miller, 30 years old. He's 21 and 8. Most of his wins come by submission. I believe it's either 14 or 15. I'm pretty sure it's 15 though. Um, it, two losses by TKO and six by decision. Uh, fighting against Max Blessed Holloway, 23 years old. He's 11 and 3. We've seen Max fight in the UFC since he was 4 and 1 or 4 and 0. I'm sorry. He got his first loss against Dustin Poirier. Stiff competition in the featherweight division that just moved up to lightweight, matter of fact. I could see Max Holloway winning this fight any way he wants to. As long as he's not able to like specifically stay on the ground for round after round, and get caught up in a submission. I just feel like Max is a young up and comer. He has too much for Cole. I feel like Cole's on the downside of his career. As I mentioned on the MMA movement, another podcast that I do, I said before, I feel like Cole Miller's been getting fights that he can win. So he was able to fight against Conor McGregor in Ireland. But since that fight wasn't able to take place, now it's just let's throw Cole into the wolves and see if he's able to still survive. And I feel like Max Holloway is this young up and comer, uh, busting his ass on a four-fight win streak, and all the wins are finish. I can just see Max Holloway possibly TKOing him again, like I said on the MMA movement, with a left hook in the third round. How do you feel about this fight, Travis? I know you're a pretty big fan of Max Holloway compared to Cole Miller.
I'm gonna have to give it to Max Holiday all day. I feel like he's gonna have a holiday on Cole Miller. Gonna be a great
He's going to
fight.
have a holiday for Holloway.
Exactly, man. Yeah, if they stand and bang, or if they take it to the ground, Max. I can't. Max is gonna win this match by early TKO, like, hands down. That's like my predictions, 100%. All away.
Okay. Max Holloway, I feel like he's just going to be able to do anything that he wants in the fight, except for try surviving on the ground for 3 rounds with Cole Miller. A lot of these Hawaiian fighters are up and coming, and they've showed a lot of potential. Russell Doan, Max Holloway, Caitlin, that are Curran that just fought against or Paige Van Zant. Um, I just feel like he's going to be able to be too much for him, and a lot of people feel like Holloway's suspect on the ground because of just that one mounted arm triangle that Dustin Poirier had. I really feel like that was I don't want to say a rookie mistake, but it was his UFC debut, and he just got caught up, especially against someone like Dustin Poirier. Again, a lot of improvements by Holloway, and I feel like he's going to be able to take over and show why he's dominant and hopefully get the fifth win in a row, and on top of that, a fifth finish in a row.
Yep.
On to the main event, my man. This is going to be one hell of a fight. First, we
Fuck
had
yeah.
Max. First, we had Matt Brown fighting against Tarek Saffiedine. Then we had uh, Brandon Thatch fighting against Stephen Thompson, and then Thompson pulls out because he gets injured. So, without further ado, they had to call up Benson Henderson because that man is just looking for a fight anytime soon, and it just so happens that he accepted it for the welterweight division against Brandon Thatch. Both of them were born in Colorado, but the only difference is that Thatch trains out of Colorado right now, and as you've heard in interviews, this is his city. No one's going to come here and try defeating him and take him out of his uh, character, take him out of his element. It's just not something that or he feels is going to happen. And we've all seen his two fights in the UFC, and if you guys are hardcore fans, you've seen him fight in RFA before as well. Man's a killer. He has 11 out of 11 finishes, 8 TKOs, and 3 submissions. He's only lost once by decision, but that was the second time in his career, or second fight in his career, excuse me. I just feel like this is a recipe for disaster for Henderson. I've bounced back and forth on the fights specifically because Henderson has been a former champion in the UFC, but it was in the lightweight division. If you could see Brandon Thatch's stature and his overall, like the way his body looks, the dude is just a killer. Like he walks around at like 190, 195, cuts down the welterweight, does it perfectly. He's a professional. And I just feel like he's going to be able to be too much for Henderson, even though Henderson's had those hard weight cuts down at or lightweight. If there's any man that you don't want to make a welterweight debut for, even if you were a former title contender or not, I feel like this is the wrong fight for Henderson, and I think he's going to end up getting finished in the second round by Thatch. Got to watch out for those beautiful knees that Thatch has, his crisp striking, and if you've seen him against Mike Rhodes in RFA, how he was able to take the back on Mike and tap him out with a rear naked choke. Just the kid is a prospect. Kid's one to watch out for, and he has tons of potential. Him beating Ben Henderson as well. How big of Ben Henderson is for being a draw on Fox Sports One, on Fox. I just feel like all the fans that are going to tune in are going to wake up Sunday morning realizing that Brandon Thatch is a big name in the UFC and he's one to watch out for. Travis, I know you're a big fan of Thatch as well. How do you feel about it? And it's not like you're a huge fan of Thatch. I feel like you just don't like Henderson that much. So how about you give us your assessment on
Well, to be honest, yeah, I just never really liked him since he won against Cowboy Cerrone.
it?
But anyway, I feel like I'm going to start this off by saying respect for Benson on taking the fight on short notice. And,
Absolutely.
yeah. And personally, I feel like it's going to be a war between these two. Benson's light on his feet, great striker, while Brandon is just, he's a fucking monster. Really aggressive, like an
Absolutely.
angry bull, man. He's like an angry bull, and Henderson is the China shop. I'm
It's a
calling
good way
Brandon
to put it,
Thatch
my
by
man.
KO, man. TKO.
KO or TKO, which one? You
Uh,
got to be more specific when it comes down to the main event,
you know
son.
what?
It's not
Knockout.
like you got to call the shot, but you feel like he's
Knockout.
going to get clean knocked out.
Knocked out.
Do you feel like it's going to be an RDA knockout, or you feel like it's just going to be something different that we haven't seen?
It's probably gonna be something different.
All right, my man. Yeah, I'm not going to call the shot or anything like that. I definitely feel like Thatch. The one thing I would say is that it's going to make it out of the first round. If it doesn't, I'd be fairly surprised. I feel like it's going to go into the second. Thatch is going to like want to warm up for a little bit, and he'll end up picking his shots carefully in the first. Don't get me wrong, if he sees an opportunity to finish Henderson in the first, you damn sure better believe he's going to take it. But otherwise, I just feel like he's going to want to warm up, give the crowd a pleasing show for the main event and hopefully finish him off with those brutal knees because Henderson likes to put fighters up against the cage, clinch work. And that's not something that you really want to do with Thatch. If
Oh no.
Henderson was able to get it to the ground and he was able to wrestle him out for 5 rounds, especially on 2 weeks' notice, we always know that Henderson's in amazing shape throughout the whole entire year, let alone after a fight camp. There is a small chance in my eyes that Henderson can take this by decision and make it an ugly fight, but just with everything that is lined up for Brandon Thatch, how he's fighting out of his home state. Main event in his first card. It's a bunch of publicity. He's going to have a bunch of fans, family, friends, you name it. Like the crowd's going to erupt for him. And I really feel like he's going to be able to take this fight and finish Henderson and put his name on the map. All right, guys, that's it for the Stockton Slap Report. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you guys want to get at me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is Frank_Hoffman. I'll let Travis take 2 seconds out to give his Twitter handle and any final thoughts he has to say.
My Twitter handle is at Travis_Kosi. If you look underneath the faces on the screen there, it has both our Twitter handles if you don't know how to spell any of our names. Go ahead, Frank.
All right, my man. Yeah, that's basically it for the Stockton Slap Report, guys. If you guys want to follow the Stockton Slap Report's Twitter handle as well, it's at capital TSSR, lowercase EPORT. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it, and you guys should be looking forward to the counter move DraftKings and the odds video here fairly shortly. Take care.
Peace.